Welcome back to the video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about continuing with this idea of the concept of Hermeticism. We talked about it previously, about how it relates to women and their experience, as above, so below, as within, so without. We then talked about it from the perspective of the gender nuanced man, the trans woman, and how we as people have a feminine essence, how we connect to God in the same way that women do. But now I want to talk about specifically the role of the wage worker within society and how this pertains to capitalism as well. And why my thesis is ultimately that Daddy God is a Marxist. Okay, so using the same mind map, I kind of want to point out some things to you that I think will be a little bit interesting. First and foremost, I want to show you who Daddy God was, right? Let me teach you about who Yahweh was. Yahweh was Daddy God, right? On the outside, as a man, the good shepherd, the good husband. On the inside, his inner being was the primordial mother. He had the heart posturing of a woman to then give his kids, his children, Adam and Eve, a place to be. So, as we've already discussed with women, women have productive capacities. They have productive values, such as maternal value, the domestic value, and their emotional value. The maternal value is what they use to socially reproduce for themselves and their children because you got to take care of them babies. The domestic value is what you use in the home when you're cleaning up the home. All of that is unpaid labor, but it's also used in the realm of production when you go to work as a woman. And then as a wage worker, as a woman, you have emotional value. This is ultimately the well being of the individual, connected to your capacity to have subsistence, which is all that you need to be able to socially reproduce for yourself, consume some of what you produce as a wage worker, and ultimately have a well rounded life. So, from the pentad of Marxist ecology, in the Garden of Eden, this is what Daddy God had. He had a place to be, a place to grow, a place to work, a place to play, which is creation, which is generation of something new, and a place to rest. He rested on the seventh day. As a wage worker, all of this value, just like in the experiences of women, is being extracted from you. All of this labor is being extracted from you in the form of affluencia. The reason why is because as above, so below. The capitalist class exists within the realm of material security, as above, and the wage worker exists in the realm of necessity, so below. So, what happens is the capitalist class is causing people to overwork, right? They are being overworked and underpaid. That Daddy God was actually a Marxist. Daddy God says, give the people a place to be so that they can grow. That's what Daddy God says. And the only reason why a lot of these people think that they're God is because they exist in the realm of material security. They are ultimately closer to Yahweh. With that being said, the correct and cultural analysis is that we need a degree of social democracy that for the wage worker that ensures that wage workers, primarily women and their children, have the capacity to have a place to be so they could grow, so they could raise their kids, right? Have a place to work where you're able to consume part of what you produce in the workplace. We also need a understanding of meta-Marxist ecology, knowing that at the ecological level, we all have to do this. We are all tethered to Earth, and we all have to produce food for us to be able to eat as people. So there is a degree of meta-Marxist understanding of that, social democracy, and also a realm of aesthetics education to then begin to understand the positions of wage workers within the Cartesian plane of existence and the perennial unfolding of reality as a socio-historic process. And so that is how we then begin to understand and realize that Marx was actually right. Marx was right about a lot more than we ultimately anticipate. He was right about gender, it's la pareja. He was right about the family because Daddy God is growing a family. He was right about the division of labor because that can be found in the Garden of Eden where Daddy God was wholeness. So he was able to be mama and daddy, right? He was right about about society being historically ready for socialism and ecological socialism because it's not on here anymore, but the divine mother is not just, the archetype up above, but the earth is the Lord's. This is also the planet Earth as well. And the capitalist class is extracting all of this value from not only just humans, but also the earth, and they're turning it into profits. So that is how you know that we have gotten to the end of capitalism. This goes back to the archetype of the last man, that we are at the end of a cycle and there needs to be a cultural shift, a cultural revolution that ensures that wage workers have the capacity to take care of their children. So as you go to sleep tonight, that's just something that I hope, lays heavy on your heart as you begin to think about that and some of the different ways in which we can then begin to implement some of these permacultural elements and transition society to a degree of poverty to permaculture to be able to ensure that that happens for wage workers in America.